next ritual moves forward. It's called the opening of the path for communication with the ancestors. Iba, Jose Bolívar. In the full run. Dulu para dulu para Iba, Kerente, Dani Bocos, Diva, Kerente, Dani Bocos, shake not over. Joe Garega, sit over, Uba, Sitoshi, or Dima that give us. Every moment, can it be back to the door? That particular, that's an old from the top, and it's called the ship. Jose speaks of when it's come. The echo speaks of that which is past is not forgotten. So when you conquer those things, you master. Conquering also is master. And it says, we salute the black bird, carry out the messenger. The messenger for the dead, those who are past. We salute the 16 fires, which are on either side of those initiations. We salute them because they all are both the right and the left, always in balance. It says, when I did not know the way to go, I should have followed the way of my ancestors. They'll never leave me alone. Without knowing. So, what is a person who was raised in the Pentecostal church, Michigan? The church 6 times going here. I say it's connected. They are. When I speak about Africans, we as African people, challenging one of the challenging people, they should know another place who originated. Everyone in this room is an African. And African. They have migrated to other places. Here's the difference. The difference is in the gate. Not the skin tones, the color. Any other is separate. When we speak of remembrance, we ask the question, who are these ancestral spirits? What are we talking about? We say alien, or conscious, or in religion. We talk about who are these forces? Where did they come from? Where did they originate? God says, most of us say the same thing. That we come from the where we heard the Bible says, ash to ashes, dust to dust. And whether we read the Bible like here, the Quran, or it all says generally the same thing. As far as the rewards and blessings, they're so numerous that it makes you fool. It makes you fool when you make that connection to those who come before you. You see it manifesting. Offerings that we do, it's minor in comparison to each other. I had a number of instances to talk about and moving trying to understand. Speaking about that song and connectivity between here and there. But it's here, there, and everywhere. It's about the level of effort that we put into finding the connection as opposed to looking for the disconnect. The disconnect is always easy to see. I know when you do it. A part of remembrance is going beyond. Break that bond. You would never let anything come to you and your mother. Any of you guys that are speaking, you're still going to have reverence. Keep that same reverence for those people for us. I would pay a heavy price. They have a lot to teach us. It's
that brought about history of family, but to go deeper than that. And slavery, for me, touched black people like nothing else ever has or ever will. Over 400 years of that travel. So that brought about me stepping out and learning more about the subject that I didn't know enough about myself, so I could teach them. And that was the start of my journey. And that journey took me through a lot of different activities of learning. And along the way, I brought my children. And today, they have looked back on those experiences and said, thank you. Thank you for the way you brought us up. There were 15 slave-holding states in these United States of America. Plus Washington, D.C., it was still legal to sail in the District of Columbia. So we're talking about millions of people being affected in this buying, selling, and trading across state lines. And Charleston was huge in the slave trade. So I've learned that just about 4 blocks within downtown Charleston, so the area I'm talking about, East Bay, Broad Street, Chalmers, where the old slave mart is located, State Street, just those areas. Would you believe over 40 businesses open, storefronts, if you may, open to sell slaves. And when I say that to people and I put it in the term storefronts, they picture literally a picture window and selling people. It wasn't quite like that, but it was very, very close. What they would do is sometimes they would store people in the back of some of these buildings, because some of them have little areas where today they are restaurants. And they have outdoor tables in those areas for us to eat. Some of those may have been places where they stored away slaves, waiting for day of sale. And so I've done some deeper research. There's even a wonderful book I would share with you right now called Slave Trading in the Old South. An old book that was, research was done by a man named Frederick Bancroft back in the early 1900s. And he traveled throughout the South, and his, for whatever reason, his focus was selling and trading slaves. So he documents Virginia, trading, Missouri, other areas, and he has a chapter on Charleston. He lists names and addresses of different locations. And I've taken his research a step further. He lists 32. I found well over 100 traders who were doing business out of downtown Charleston, all located within that 4-block space. And once I found that, that has taken me now on a continuous journey to learn more. And so it's an interesting book, but it will perk your interest of all that was going on. So I'm going to give you some different things that they were doing, spending money, buying slaves. So basically, you could mortgage slaves, just like you mortgage a house. You could rent a slave like you could rent a car today. They use them as collateral. And so if you didn't have all the money to pay for your slaves, you could basically get them on credit, pay them off, then whatever the arranged time is. And lastly, you could put life insurance policies on slaves. And that was very important because a lot of times census, 1860, that stated how many slaves were in this country. And remember, 15 states. That was right at 4 million. Right at 4 million people enslaved in 1860. So this is over a year before the Civil War starts. So now we know that during the war, people started to run away and that sort of thing, whether they were going into the northern states or wherever. Still, these are people of African descent that are in need somewhere. So I still count them, even though those numbers would have changed after the Civil War started. Now, specifically in the city of Charleston, I have a census 1861, so I'm right in the year that the Civil War started. There was 17,655 enslaved people living just in the city of Charleston. I am very exact with that. Know that for sure. There was a little bit over 3,700 were called free colors living in the city of Charleston. The white population was over 26,000, so it wasn't quite 50-50 at that point. But all the enslaved people in the city of Charleston had to wear a badge, a slave badge. That was identification for them. Think about it. You got all these black people roaming the streets, going about their jobs. You couldn't tell if they were free or if they were slaves, because they all look the same, skin color. And so this was also a way that the city of Charleston made money off the system. The government agency made money off the system. So they charged the owners fees and they hired out their slaves. This is men, women, children. And so if a enslaved person was walking down the street, any white person could stop them and say, who are you and where are you going? You know, what's your business? They had to be able to present that badge. If they weren't able to present that badge, they are in dire straits. Now, on the other hand, if that person that they stopped was a free color, as the term was called, they had to prove that they paid their annual capitation tax on themselves, the annual head tax. If they could not prove that, then they are in dire straits as well. And both scenarios are going to the segregated jail for blacks. At that time, history was known as the workhouse. The workhouse was the punishment house for all blacks, slave or free color. So I'll give you the first scenario of the slave. That enslaved person, of course, is going to have to tell the jailer who owns him. They're going to contact that person. They're going to come and say, what do you want us to do with him or her? And they would make a decision to say, you gotta punish him. How long do you want him to stay? A few days, a week, a month? I've seen all of the above, ranges of time. And what type of corrections you want us to do. So those corrections could be, and it's almost a receipt to check off. Run the treadmill. Treadmill was also a punishment to get on this thing and walk on it for as long as you were told. But it's also doing another job. It's either breaking small rocks that were used on the streets of Charleston, or it's grinding corn, for meal. So that's one of the things that may have been chosen for the person. The other is, do you want us to give them lashes, beatings on the back? Male, female now. Male and female. And they may decide, yes, how many? Do you want to have 3 a day, but 3 every I'll just say something briefly about the old slave market. When the city of Charleston passed this law to take it off the streets, and that's when we say at least 40, we know it was more, but at least 40 sites open to buy and sell slaves. The old slave market was one of those sites. Come this July 1st, that's coming up, that law that passed will be 159 years old. That city ordinance that Charleston passed to take the trading of slaves off the street will be 159 years old. Now, the site where I work is basically a hole in the wall. It's an alleyway. It's a strip of land between two structures. There's on one side is a private residence. Today, on the other side is a law office. In 1856, when business opened, there was a private residence in the same location where it is today, but the other side was a fire station. And it was an open air alleyway. So picture a 20-foot wide space. That's all it is today. It's no different, about 20 feet wide, no roof. Today we have a second level in there, so there's no second level. Just a gutted out alleyway, and they were selling slaves out of it. The city said it had to be off the streets. And that was just barely off the streets. So in the part of this alleyway, it led all the way through from Chalmers to Queen Street. In the back of it was a 4-story jail. And that's what I have. I have a picture of the jail I'd like to show if you can help me. That's it. That's the 4-story jail where they housed at the old slave mart, waiting for day of sale. This picture is dated 1950. And what the article is talking about is it has been condemned as a slum. And it's going to be torn down. It was demolished in 1951. There was also a 2-story kitchen in this alleyway and a 1-story dead house, a morgue, as it was called. So this was a complex. And they sold out in the area where this jail was. And they sold it between these structures that was the alleyway part. This site was owned by a man named Thomas Ryan. He was a city councilman in the 1850s for Charleston. His other business was selling slaves. He also had an office on State Street, so he could sell there too. We have Thomas Ryan documented and know that he was doing business out of this location as early as 1852. And what I found, even though the city passed this law to take it off the streets and these storefronts open to sell slaves, there were already offices before 1856 downtown Charleston doing business. Something else while you all are looking at this building, I want to let you know that after slavery was abolished in 1865, that many African Americans ended up living in that same jail with many others, or maybe some of them had once been sold. They had no money, they had nowhere to go, and it would have been late 1870s. So there was a second level put inside of the alleyway, and it became a tenement house, and people lived in there. And when you come in the museum today, you can still see the remnants on the wall where that original second floor was. But think about it, 4 stories and people are having to live in the same place where maybe some of their grandparents had once been sold. And so this site, the old slave mart, as it's called today, museum, was open for 7 years. So from July 1st of 1856 until November 1863, right in the midst of the Civil War. When this particular area of Charleston was being bombarded by the Union Navy, and people were evacuated, and that's when business shut down at this location. But that did not stop slave trading in Charleston. And the last item I'd like to, that I brought to show you all, is a actual broadside and inventory of slaves that were actually sold there. All right. Now we have it in size where you'll be able to see the whole broadside. So this is a copy of what was called a broadside. As I mentioned, we might call it a flyer. So it has 235 Negro slaves, prime gang. They belong to the estate of the late General James Gadsden. The Mark Charles Street, Schindler Brothers were slave traders, just like Thomas Ryan, who owned the site. And you see they were brought in on the Monday, the 9th of January, 1860. The small print, you may be able to read it. I'll summarize. Basically, you pay a cash down payment, you mortgage the rest, and you have 12 months to pay them off. That basically summarizes what the small print says, or the terms. Now, these 235 were owned by James Gadsden. James Gadsden was a U.S. diplomat back in the 1850s. And he negotiated with Mexico some territory out west that the U.S. wanted to buy. Some of that territory today are the states of Arizona and New Mexico. It became known as the Gadsden Purchase. James Gadsden, the Gadsden Purchase, and these were his slaves. He'll be forever known for the negotiation that he accomplished for the U.S. to buy that land. But he was also a slave owner in South Carolina. Actually, his plantation was called Pimlico. This was the day, to be exact, James Gadsden died. His funeral was at St. Philip's Church, just around the corner from the old slave market. And but at the time of his death, he owed a mortgage on these slaves. He was still paying on them. He owed $9,000. That $9,000 had to be paid off, but it took a little over a year before they were brought to the old slave market to be sold. And they were sold within 2 days. They were gone. They were from ages a month old to 70. And I have the inventory of all 235. Show you that on home.
Is that equal to $9,000 that he owed?
No. I don't know what the total cost was. That information I wasn't able to find. But that was just the balance. So let's go to the first sheet here. And what I'd like to show you is, let's see what this one has. No, leave it at the size it was. Yeah, just leave it because I'm going to show them the whole document. Can you pull it up a little bit? I need help. Can you pull it up so I can get it off the page? Okay. I just want you to be able to see the whole, this is part of the whole inventory. So they have a number. They are numbered 1 through 235. This one has, as you can see, it's down to 119. So these are little families. These are families. The first column has, it's the little printed number is numbering family. The written numbers are the cost of that whole family. The next column is the names of each family member. And that the next column is ages, and then the wider column you see there would be qualifications or sicknesses or something that might be wrong with them. And let's see, I'm looking for on this one the most expensive out of the 235. The one that cost the most money out of all of them was a 14-year-old boy. And his name was Ned. He is number 83. Sorry, I need to put my glasses on. He's number 83, and Ned sold for $1,400. And he's one in family. I'm going to explain that in a moment too. Come down to number 54. Ben was 12 years old, one in family. He sold for $940. Number 55, Isaac. So he was 14, sold for $1,005. And the reason I picked, and there are some others that are one in family. Luck up there is number 15. He sold for $1,300. And $50, he was 17 years old. He's number 15. The reason I picked the one in family is because they had no mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, cousins, nobody else blood related to them left on that plantation. They were one in family. Prime, or teenagers to age 25, male, female. And you've got babies on here. You've got 8 months old, 8 months, or 5 months. You've got little ones, 4 years old, 9 years old. You've got various ages. And let's go to the next one. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. I'll just show just this last one. The older ones, number 127, Cupid, one in family, sold for $12. And Ned, number 147, sold, he was 70 years old and he sold for $12 as well. These were split and sold to 30 new owners. And many of those owners were also traders that were just going to resell them somewhere else. The old slave market was wholesale. It was wholesale. And they were taking them to other markets to sell retail. All right. There is so much more that I could share about it, but I just want to say thank you all so much for allowing me to come and share and give you just some insight into Charleston's history of trading slaves, and in a way it's what happened on the other side when they left out. And these are their descendants, just like we are. Thank you.
All right. Ooh. Thank you, Christine, so very much. As you can tell, there is an absolute wealth of information that's available. We are in a city that has a wealth of history, and I implore you to seek it out. Because too often we don't know and we don't want to know. But I think it's important not just to remember the past, but in order to move forward, we need to know what is the expression. In order to go forward, we need to know where you came from. And I think that's important for everyone, because in that way, I think we find out that there is a oneness to all of us here, to all of us on the planet. The more we know, the more we can tap into that oneness. That concludes our education program. We are now going to move outside and gather. We're going to follow the drummers. We're going to go down to the ocean.
Here they go.
Where y'all went, dudes? Let's get it. Yes. Yeah, you gotta go to the water. no blocking traffic. Go ahead, brother. I hear you. Let me get it. Oh, you done got folks pissed off. Ase O!
why do we come here? Normally in the past we've had a park ranger that explained to us how the ships came from over this way, being guided by a lighthouse over there. You see the little lighthouse just down over? That's Morris Lighthouse. They guided the ships, the slaving ships, into these waters. But the boats would then go across, go around to the other side of the island where we will be doing our libation in just a few moments. But the reason why we are here is oftentimes many of you, the descendants, want to put your feet in the same waters that your ancestors came through. And if you feel like you want to do that at this time, now is the time. In a few minutes, maybe about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, we'll be heading back over to the cove. So if you want to get your feet wet in the same waters through which your ancestors came, you will be spiritually uplifted, I promise you. If you are not, I'll give you the water.
Ain't no money. They done paid the price. Ase O! Thank you for coming. Now I understand. Oh, yes, sir. Y'all see too much land? Get over it. This is my one year, goddammit. Y'all know how you do. Roll it up and get there. Y'all pray me through this panoramic shot. That's a half a panoramic shot. We gonna get it. my battery. be happy. I know you got a light shirt under there. Come on, man. Don't try to change the game. All right, right. Woo. Yes, ma'am. Hold this right here and watch that crowd come in. Hold it steady. Hold it steady. Watch the crowd come in. Bit by bit. Balance it. See if you can see everybody. good. You're tall as ever.
Brenda, are you training the next generation
Always.
of videographers?
Always. You never have enough hands. Yeah, wait till you get to the last ones. Oh, the wedding band. just heard this drummer running on the field. That's her job. Oh, I got F1 in my bag.
One more time for the drummers. Another time for the dancers. And we want to pick up Coach Bob. Coach Bob always led these drummers for the past 17 years. Bob is very ill right now. Brothers are represented for Coach Bob and himself. So one time for Coach Bob.
Woo! Come on now, he's gonna see this video. Ase O!
I want to thank you all for coming out to the 18th annual tribute to the Ancestors Remembrance Program, Charleston, South Carolina. I'm going to say Chandler, me and Deborah Wright and Quadro Campbell, we started this 18 years ago. And now this is here, ASALH, the Association for the Study of African American Life History, is running things. So give a hand to ASALH and sister. I can't say how good I am. I can't. But I will. It's very important, this work that we're doing. Yes, it is, brother. In the past month, I've been in touch not only with the people that have been down with us every second Saturday for the past 18 years, not only with the people in Portobello, Panama, Cape Coast, Ghana, they're doing it again with us. People in Hampton, Virginia,
The other mic.
Coney Island, Brooklyn. There we go. One, two.
Sure.
Coney Island, Brooklyn, and several other places. Oakland, California, been doing this for years. But recently I found out, that folks in New Orleans are doing a celebration similar to this. It's a different time. It's at a different time. People in Washington, D.C., they have two organizations they're doing at two different times. The Ase O organization and National Black United Front. Right. Also in Detroit, Ase is hosting a tribute to the ancestors. Take this. It's not working. So we formed the International Coalition, the International Committee of ICCAM. The International Coalition to commemorate African ancestors of the Middle Passage. All right. Woo! All right. I mean, it's truly international. They're bringing Trinidad involved. Somebody in Paris, they told us. San Francisco, of course, they've been doing their own in October, and they've joined us during this time. So, it's a very important work that we're doing. Everybody, every country has their Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, don't they? Yes. Everybody commemorates. I mean, Fort Moultrie is a commemoration of historical events that have happened. And we are among the few that are recognizing those Africans who perished in the Middle Passage. So, I'm grateful that you have come. At 12 noon, sharply, we will pour our libation, okay? And we will then put our offerings on this white cloth over here. And then we will take them over to the water and offer them into the same water that the Africans that survived, those that survived. In the meantime, I have been remiss in not asking the elders to allow me to fumble through this. Do I have your permission to speak, elders? Yes, I speak. Normally when we do the libation, after that we'll have some clergy speak and some individuals in the community will have an opportunity to speak. And Brother Quadro Campbell is going to remind everybody, help me remind everybody that we are speaking, those of you that have the opportunity, will take advantage of the opportunity to speak, you will speak to the occasion of our ancestors. Now, I know many of you are involved with some great programs and doing some wonderful things, just as I have been doing, but that's not what we're here about today. Today, we're giving this little bit of time, a little bit of portion of our time to our ancestors. Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Right, this is for them. This is why we're here today. Okay, if you're a Boy Scout leader, that's great. And if you want to leave some flyers on this table over here to promote your program, we invite you to do so. Please do not use our microphone to take away from what we're here to do today, to recognize those Africans that perished in the Middle Past. Many of you, maybe I've seen the news lately. I looked something up. They had over 87 slaving ships going to the port of Maryland between the 17th and 18th centuries. And just on June 2nd, a week or so ago, there was a discovery of the São José Paqueta de Africa, a Portuguese slave ship that sank on the coast of Cape Town, South Africa in 1794. It was on its way to Brazil carrying over 400 enslaved Africans. Now, I do appreciate what that sister was talking about for the slave market, when she talked about enslaved people. She interchanged that with slaves. I appreciated that of her. So just June 2nd, they rediscovered this ship that had approximately 400 enslaved Africans from Mozambique. So that tells us that this stuff is still very important. They honored those, on July 3rd, they honored the lives of those Africans who died as a result of the shipwreck, and those few who survived and were later exported on other vessels. So they're still finding our bones and our ancestors in the ocean. So we could not do any less than to be here today.
That's right.
So, at this time, if there are any clergy here that want to speak on the topic of ancestors that have died in the Middle Passage, step up. Check with Coach Quadro Campbell, to remind you of the rules, and then anybody else that wants to line up, we'll call you in due time. First we want the clergy, then we want elders, and then we want any other community members. So you speak, introduce yourself, and you might want to step in front if you can, because we don't
Shout it out. Okay. I'm Reverend Lynn Holland, representing Unity Church of Charleston. The most diverse community, and we are proud of it. And so, my brothers and sisters, I ask that you pray with me and join in celebrating the lives and sacrifice of our brothers and sisters who have gone before us in the Middle Passage. We acknowledge the powerful presence of God in and among us, in the presence of healing which continues even today. And
I want you just to repeat 3 times after me. We are an African people.
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 We are here where 40% of the Africans who came here came straight here through Charleston. I have a problem with calling us just slaves. Some people have just identified us as slaves. We were put into slavery, but we were prisoners of war. Out of those Africans who came here, at least 30 to 40% of them were Muslim. Our people are very spiritual people who believed in one God.
That's right.
The term Gullah, if you start to look it up, it's related to Islam and African. Not going to belabor this, but as a recognition to our powerful God who brought us here to recognize our ancestors, I'll be performing the call to prayer. The call to prayer to recognize God and to do our duties. This is the Muslim call to prayer called the Adhan. And I'll translate afterwards. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله هيا على الصلاة هيا على الصلاة هيا على الفلاح هيا على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. The translation is, God is great, God is great. There is no God but Allah. And Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Come to prayer, because prayer is success. Come to success. God is great, God is great. There is no God but Allah. There was an African who the Prophet Muhammad always wanted him to call these people to prayer. His name was Bilal. He was one of the greatest companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet Muhammad said about Bilal, who was from Africa, who from Ethiopia, that he heard his footsteps in paradise before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's keep our spiritual recognition. We all believe in one God. We all have beliefs, but we agree that there is one God. Praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.
All cultures bury and honor their dead. For those of us in the African diaspora, we have the entire Atlantic Ocean as a burial ground. In effect, we are finally remembering our ancestors' sacrifices and acknowledging the truth that as survivors, we stand on their shoulders. I feel that we are keeping a promise to honor our ancestors and appreciate our contributions, beginning with those who died in the Middle Passage. That's Ann Chin. She's in an organization that's seeking to put port markers in all the places that Africans were brought into this country. Speaking of that, right behind me is the bench by the road that was installed here by Toni Morrison a few short years ago. It's to honor those places in African American history that are not honored otherwise. Many things happen in many places that have never been commemorated. And Toni Morrison sought to put a bench by the road right here at Fort Moultrie because she knew that this is the place where 60% of the Africans that came to America came through these ports. Are there any other elders that would like to speak at this time? Please come forward.
Come over here. King David Ross is going to present a point.
Okay. Remembering now that you have 3 up to 3 minutes. David?
My African brothers and sisters. This poem is for our ancestors who did not make it through the Middle Passage, that died along the way. And the name of the poem is African History, the Origin of Humanity. Before the earth was, I was. Before time was, I was. You found me not long ago and called me Lucy. I was 4 million years old. I had my tools besides me. I am the origin of modern human beings. Call me Homo sapiens sapiens. You found my 160,000 BC-year-old fossilized skull in Ethiopia. January the 12th, 2003, check the Charleston Post in Korea. I walked the Nile from the mountains of the moon and Mount Kilimanjaro to the Delta, a 4,000-mile hike. You know I'm right. African history, the origin of humanity. I lived in the land of Canaan before Abraham, before Hebrew was born. I am Canaan. son of Ham. I laugh at the Arabs and Jews fighting over my land. I live in Saba, Southern Arabia. I played in the Red Sea, dwelled on the Persian Gulf. I left my mark from Babylon to Timbuktu. African history, the origin of humanity. I am the first European. Call me Negrato and Grimaldi. I walked along the Mediterranean from Spain to Greece. Oh, Greece, why did you kill Socrates? Why did you give him the poison hemlock? Who were the gods he introduced, influencing the use of Athens? They were my gods, ebony gods of Africa. Oh, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, whose philosophy did you teach that was Greek to the Greeks? Pythagoras, where did you learn geometry? Democritus, where did you study astronomy? Solon, Lucius, where did you study law? In Egypt, ancient Kemet, and Egypt is Africa, and Africa is me. I am the burnt face, the blameless Ethiopian. Homer told you about me in the Iliad and the Odyssey. Homer told you about Ulysses too, a story he got from me. African history, the origin of humanity. I am the Chinese. China has my eyes. I am the Aboriginal Asian. Look for me in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. I am there, even today, black and beautiful. African history, the origin of humanity. I used to travel to America. Long before Columbus came to me asking for direction, American Vespucci, on his voyage to America, saw me in Atlantic, returning to Africa. America was my home. Before the Aztecs, the Mayan, Toltecs, Inca, and the Olmec. I was here. I came to Peru 20,000 years ago. I founded Mexico City. See my pyramids, see my Cabals of Colossal and Veracruz and Yucatan. That's me. I am the Mexican, for I am mixed with all men, and all men are mixed with me. I am eternal. I am universal. Africa is my home. Asia is my home. Europe is my home. North America is my home. South America is my home. Antarctica is my home. Australia is my home. African history, the origin of humanity. Remember, the most important thing for you to do is to know thyself. Never forget from whom you came. Learn all you can and perform all tasks well. This is one way of discovering the truth about you.
And now, Ruth Rambo.
More poetry. Can you put it down? It occurred to me after having come a number of times to the ceremony that there is a poem that was written. There was a poem written in the 1940s by a young, who I will describe, major, minor African-American poet by the name of Robert Hayden. And the name of the poem, which is like 12 minutes long, and I obviously am not going to read it all, is called Middle Passage. He studied the point from the point of view of the slaves, of the enslaved people coming to America, from the point of view of a slaver. So this part of the poem is in the voice of a sailor. This is his diary, his account of the Middle Passage. Shuttles in the rocking loom of history, the dark ships move. The dark ships move. Their bright, ironical names like jests of kindness on a murderer's mouth plow through the thrashing glister toward Fata Morgana's lucent, melting shore. Weave toward the new world literals that are mirage and myth and actual shore. Voyage through death, voyage whose charters are unloved. Eternal stench, effluvium of living death spreads outward from the hole where the living and the dead, the horribly dying, lie interlocked, lie foul with blood and excrement. Deep in the festering hole thy father lies. The corpse of mercy rots with him. Rats eat love's rotten gilded eyes, but oh, the living look at you with human eyes whose suffering accuses you, whose hatred reaches through the soul of dark to strike you like a leper's claw. You cannot stare that hatred down and breathe on you in its fetid scorched breath. You cannot kill the deep, immortal human wish, the timeless will.
Thank you.
Joanna Carrington.
Continuing history, continuing our connection in this history. On the 20th of this month at Jenkins Orphanage, the Gullah Geechee group is presenting Juneteenth. It is there that we want to continue the history that our children know who we are and whose we are. God bless. Thank you.
But number is under 3 minutes. Mr. Shane Shepherd.
I wish, however, I wasn't going to do anything, but then I was reminded of being an elder. And then I saw some young people coming over and from the river and barely moving. And I want to tell y'all, even at 70, our ancestors were full of energy. This is the kind of energy we have at 70. I want to do something in honor. I got 2.5 minutes left. I want to do something in honor of Brother Bob Smalls. He and I developed this project back in the 70s. Where we were working for the city of Charleston and developed the storefront for the arts. So this is something we did together, and you know our culture of call and response, that means all of you will have to participate, so you can rest your arm for a minute.
Okay, we are going to do the African American history rap. I want you to repeat after me. I said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, African American history.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, African American history.
H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O-P, African American history.
H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O-P, African American history.
Q-R-S-T-U-V, African American history.
Q-R-S-T-U-V, African American history.
W-X, Y, and Z, this is the story all about me.
W-X, Y, and Z, this is the story all about me.
I'm not going to tell y'all, I heard somebody that didn't know the ABC. Now, I want you to do it by yourself. I said A, B, C, come on.
African American history. H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O-P, African American history. Q-R-S-T-U-V, African American history. W-X, Y, and Z, this is the story all about me.
A, African American, my true identity. B, Benjamin Banneker, surveyor of D.C. C, for my community, the place I call home. D, for all discoveries I make just on my own. E, for education, we use from day to day. F is for the families and not that they portray. G, for gifts and talents of those who entertain. H, for Houston Hurston, who wrote about our people playing. I, for rhythm, blues, jazz, and all our instruments. J, for Jesse Jackson, who ran for president. K, for Martin Luther King, we honor with a holiday. L, for Cowboy Nat Love did what did they say. M, for the man of C.J. Walker, black for the Savior there. N is for the prophet Nat Turner, a freedom fighter who dared. O is for President Barack Hussein Obama II, to keep our hopes alive. P is for principles he upheld, to keep our hearts proud.
All right.
P is for
Yes.
Here's for the questions that I ask about my history. R for religion, from Islam to Christianity. S for the 7 days of the Kwanzaa celebration. T for Harriet Tubman, Doctor of Freedom Station. U is for the Underground Railroad, a secret passageway. V for values to make us strong, from unity to faith, I pray. W for Woodson Carter, G, a vision he did see when he proclaimed February for Black History. Now, X is for the name that Malcolm took because it means unknown. Y is for you to be all you can be for the first day you were born. Z is for zenith, the highest point in our universe. We reach the top when we repeat the African American history verse. I said A, B, C, D,
E, F, G.
African American history. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. African American history. Q, R, S, T, U, V. African American history. W, X, Y, and Z. This is the story all about me.
Some of you might want to know why are we limiting our time to 3 minutes. And that is because at 12 noon, we want to be in synchronicity with Portobello, Panama, Cape Coast, Castle Garden, Coney Island, Oakland, California, and all these other places that are pouring sharply at 12 noon. There's a spiritual kind of upliftment that you get from that. So that's the reason why. Not just because I'm mean. And because I like telling people to speed it up. I do, but there's a reason. All right, Brother DeBuff. Here's one guy I really like to speed up. I'm friend from Brooklyn.
I hear you singing. Hey, you singing water. There be my people there. While I'm crying, you act because I don't know them. African, many nations on the water. African, many nations on the water. I call you, remember them that died for you. I call you, remember them ancestors on the water. Watery grave, don't take the sting out of there. Watery grave, don't take the sting out of there. I call you, remember my ancestors on the water. They died for you. They died for me, so we might live in this land of my bonnet. Africa, Africa. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. Not sure what it means to be an elder, but I see 70 years old qualified, so good morning, everybody. I bring you greetings from North Carolina. We're here for the first time, but really feel an affinity for Charleston. My maternal grandmother, Carrie White, born on Johns Island, migrated to New York in the 1920s, brings us to Charleston. And then I had the good fortune of marrying Rukia Elaine English, and so I'm really a part of the Charleston family and glad to be here. I just want to quote a bit from a poem by a recent ancestor, Amiri Baraka, and it's from his poem, Wise, Wise, and Wise. Very short lines. At the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, there's a railroad made of human bones. Black ivory, black ivory.
John Tecklenburg.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. What kind of wretch was the man that wrote those words? His name was John Newton, and he was a slaver. He was a captain of a ship that enslaved people, Africans, and brought them to Charleston. I didn't know this story until a few years ago. I was at the Circular Congregational Church, and it was there that John Newton worshiped and took communion. And it amazes me the mercy that our one God has, that he saved a wretch like John Newton, who after his conversion then wrote those glorious words that we all know so well. So I ask God to bless the millions who passed in the Middle Passage, but also bless the John Newtons of the world, because God's mercy reigns on the just and the unjust. And I ask him to be with us today and give us our blessings in this remembrance. Thank you.
All right, Walter Bogue.
Hello, everybody. I just want to tell you about the International African American Museum that's to be built on the Cooper River on the top of what was Christopher Gadsden's Wharf, wherein so many people came, were enslaved. Christopher Gadsden was a Revolutionary War hero. He fought for his liberation, but he enslaved the African people, bringing them into Charleston. There are board meetings publicly open to the public. Board meetings of the International African American Museum Board, on which are a lot of black people of Charleston and whites. The next meeting that we, as the public, are able to attend is Wednesday, August 26, 12 noon, Suite 400 at 25 Calhoun Street. That's not 75, but 25 Calhoun Street. That's a private office building at the law firm of Young, Clement and Rivers. These meetings are quarterly. So the next one, if you missed the August meeting, will be in November. The one after that in February, and then in May. The city's committing are trying to raise $75 million to tell our story.
Thank you, Walt. I gave him a special dispensation to promote the African American History Museum. All right.
Learn together.
Y'all don't fire Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier.
A poem that I wrote. I'm not probably going to have enough time. I didn't realize there was a poem entitled Middle Passage, but this is one that I wrote. On ships with beautiful names like Love and Hope and Olive Branch, they kidnapped us and took us from our homes and took us from our only motherland. To think of my ancestors, my blood, it almost cuts through me like a sharp knife. When I ponder on it all and I think, oh, to have paid such a price. Besides, Father God, ancestors, I feel your presence almost daily in my life. I pull on your fortitude and your strength whenever I feel that there is strife. The strength that was put in you way back in Mother Africa as you made your way through the Middle Passage, dealing with all of who knows what. The pain of the Middle Passage, and to those that died over waters and rivers and seas, we honor you with our undying love, knowing that in God you've made your peace. Through the pain and agony of sickness, disease, and despair, many died in these waters in the only comfort of death in rivers far and near. Death found its way to millions, the hope of release as the only way. Some by choice, if possible, and to possibly have the last say. To say, I want you to know that I'll be buried deep down in this watery, vast grave before I continue to be your cargo and before I'll ever become your slave. Also, I would like to propose a proclamation. I've sent this to the mayor, that the last Saturday of May, preceding the Memorial Day holiday, be declared Decoration Day annually in Charleston, South Carolina. This was a day that our ancestors honored on May 1st, 1865. It was held in honor of the Union soldiers. And I actually have the support of Mr. Joseph McGill, who is one of the enactors for the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, also Professor Damon Ford, Representative Wendell Gilliard, and National Park Specialist Mr. Michael Allen. So I'd like to make this a reality with your support. Thank you.
Brother Umar Johnson is coming forward in just a moment, but I want to show you this. This is where you have the opportunity to make your offering, your financial offering for the success of our program next year. And it'll be around for a while, so when you come forward, just put a few dollars in there. Brother Umar Johnson is in town, and he's here with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here. It's a coincidence that brought me here. I'm in Charleston speaking for the first time today at 4 o'clock, and I want to invite all of you out. Sterrett Hall Auditorium, 1537th Street. I'm going to talk about the psychoacademic war against black boys and girls, the high-stakes testings, the special ed war, the so-called learning disability, and of course the also popular ain't no daddy at home disorder, ADHD. And so that's today, 4 o'clock to 7. If you have children, you cannot afford to miss it. I've seen South Carolina's special ed numbers. I've seen South Carolina's suspension and expulsion numbers. I've seen South Carolina's test scores. So please, parents, if you care about your children, and I'm sure you do, you need to be there to get that information, because no one else is giving it out the way I'm giving it out, and you need to be there to receive it. Today is very historic, this event here. And it was by coincidence, which is divine order, that I got here. Someone sent me a flyer 2 days ago and said this was going on. And when you talk about the ancestors, which we refer to as a goon in the tradition of Ifa, you know, it's interesting because we believe that our ancestors are our angels. They are the protective force. And I think that African people don't realize how important that vital spiritual connection is. Many of us are afraid to deal with our ancestors, but we don't mind calling on other people's ancestors all day long.
Ase O.
One thing that we have to understand is that our ancestors are not pleased with us. They're not. We're celebrating 150 years since the end of slavery. This year, 1865 to 2015, that's 150. But the question they ask from the bottom of the Atlantic is, where are our airplanes? 150. The question they ask, where are our businesses? Where are our schools? Where are our hospitals? If we really want to honor our ancestors, after we do so in name, after we do so in spirit, after we do so in ritual, we have to do so with institution building. Black people suffer and we struggle because we don't have institutions of our own. And the new paradigm for the 21st century is the paradigm of wealth. We can only fight with wealth. Money and finance is the weapon of wealth. Last thing I want to say is I'm hosting a Black Boy College tour. 11 to 17-year-old brothers. It's the first annual Dr. Umar Manhood and College Tour. It's leaving from Atlanta, and we're going to bring them here to South Carolina. The National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tuskegee University. They'll get a chance to go to the Moultrie African Village. There'll be seminars on education, starting your own business, how to respect and treat black women, how to deal with white supremacy, how to conduct yourself when you get stopped by the police. So if you got any brothers, you can go visit my website, drumarjohnson.com.
Ase O.
All praise, you got a minute.
Oh, Lord.
I am Dr. Wilmot Alfred Frazier. I am a drummer and a retired professor of African American history. I taught for 18 years at Cheney University in Pennsylvania, which is the oldest historically black college in the United States of America, founded in 1837 as the Institute for Colored Youth. One of the most important things we can do is honor our ancestors, because by remembering their stories, we find a guide to understanding our own lives and the way we should proceed. One of the most important things to remember is that many of the same institutions which carried out these horrible crimes that we've spoken of today still exist, and they are continuing to carry out those crimes. Those crimes include, because they were designed to be perpetual, never ending. They were supposed to go on and on into the future, as though this was the command of God. And we understand that it was not. That is how we survived. God has brought us this far, and we must be vigilant in understanding those stories that have been passed on. We must understand that only we can tell our story, not a city which owns slaves, sold slaves, and continues to perpetuate the idea of subordination of African people. We cannot continue this. We must do this ourselves.
It's time for us to begin our libation process. Sister Helen's going to come forward. In the meantime, I'm going to ask some of the committee members to help direct the traffic over to the table over there so you can get flowers and place them on the cloth. Place fruit on the cloth. If you want to put some money in here, put the money in here. Sister Helen?
Well, welcome. Yeah, okay. Welcome. Welcome to this glorious day. I think welcome to this glorious day. It's so wonderful to see everybody here as we remember our ancestors. It was so important. And all of the things everybody has said is very important, but we all must remember that we are spiritual people. And being spiritual as we are, it's so important for us to maintain that link with the ancestors. And I do believe they are pleased because of the beautiful weather. I have yet to be out here where the weather has been bad. I was even talking to someone in Hampton, Virginia this morning who was going to the Remembrance program there. And she spoke about the same item. So what we're asking you to do now is, because in our remembering the ancestors, we'd like to show them that we love them and think about them and offer them living things. So if you would please bring your offerings, go to the table, pick up some fruit, and bring it here to this white cloth, Ase O, or flowers. Okay. Asante Sana.
Asante Sana. Hello, darling. I do have. mountains closer. Yeah, all right, check your time. Y'all ready? The rest of the world is waiting. Hey! Yeah!
I'd like to get your attention. We need absolute silence. The most sacred part of the ceremony, please. Absolute silence. Thank you. If you can come in, we want to form a circle.
Or half,
Don't even have to take
or
the
half a
same
circle. Half circle.
We have to do a half circle.
Bring it in this way.
All right.
And then you can tell them afterwards, the drummers. Okay.
You're just going to half circle and you're going to bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring that baby in. Tighten it up. Tighten it up. Tighten it up, folks. You can come all the way up to the edge of the sheet. Bring it in. Step past them seats. Bring it in.
Who might get 1 point? Not yet, not yet.
Not yet.
After the libation. Right after the libation.
And she's right here, so let's make it half.
Quadruple?
Yeah. Just gonna meditate on it from now to. Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, after the libation.
Got 3 minutes to be at peace with yourself. done good.
I should.
Back in it used to be, we'd have to synchronize our, we used to say simonize our watches with everybody.
Omi tutu, ana tutu, ile tutu, tutu la roje, tutu egun, pa kosiku, kosi aron, kosi eo, kosi ofo, kosi akoba, kosi adina, kosi araje, kosi firiboa, iku babawa. Mojuba lofi, mojuba bogbo orisha embeleshi oludumare, mojuba bogbo egun, embeleshi oludumare. I salute all of the ancestors that perished during the Ma'afa. I salute all of the ancestors that survived the Ma'afa, and because of them, we stand here and are able to give them praise. I wish you would call out all of your ancestors so we can praise them all and raise them up. Ibaye.
Rotary Gale. Hajj Malik Shabazz. Denmark Bessie.
John Washington Grant. South Carnage.
Henry Highland Garnett.
Martin Delaney.
Robert Small.
Edward Martin. Nikita Nesbitt.
Mary
Baraka.
Martin Delaney.
Dr. King.
Marcus Garvey.
Moses first.
Antonio Marcel.
Shaka Zulu.
G2.
Madam C.J. Walker. Dr.
Antonio Marcel. Ramsey II.
Harriet Tubman.
John Henry Clark. Dr. Ben.
Queen Mother Moore.
Kwame Nkrumah.
Chancellor Williams.
John G. Jackson.
Ibaye Toru. Ibaye.
One Coleman.
Ibaye Toru. Ibaye.
Joe Sample.
Ibaye. Sadiqa Chandler. Ibaye. Okay, Ibaye Toru. Ashe.
All right, what we will do is we're going to have our drummers play. We're going to follow our drummers. The way the procession will go is we will have the drummers first. We will follow with the offering. Our ancestors will follow right behind the offering, and then the elders, our elders.
They following too.
Our elders and ancestors will be following right behind, and then everyone else will follow behind the procession. All right, Hotep.
I like that second. I know, right?
Sorry.
All right, drummers, we'll follow you.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Excuse me. You guys moved on chairs. John McGill. Sorry, don't forget, I'm from the field. Hey, friend. I'm your Facebook friend.
Oh, beautiful. Sorry, I got it one of your times.
kiki e gunga. Ego ni kuba, right? Fea wo ku o pipi ora sono fu levo. Ego ni kuba ta bango ego ni de. Via da fatori. No!
Please, on your way out, if you have not already donated, please hit the gourd on the way out the door. Thank you very much. We'll see you next year.
Are they going to have a chance to dance?
Modu play. We gonna dance under the tree. Dance under the tree. Dance under the tree.
Moultrie. It's party time, y'all. Y'all ain't got to leave just yet. Them drums are playing. Let's show them how Charleston does it. Under the tree, you just want to dance out here. Go where it's cool, baby. Take your watches, go where it's cool, baby. Excuse me. You can take them to the water. Go ahead on. You are rare in Charleston. That's who I'm hugging. That's who I'm hugging. Ase O! I'll see you in a second. Ase O! It's okay, baby. Hi, sweetie. All right. Yes.
We don't roll like that now. How do I do it?
Oh, just that one. Yeah, yeah. Ase O! Just keep snapping. Woo! Yeah, if you just kept your finger on it, it'll keep going.
Come on now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Oh.